Stonefly nymphs make up a really important part of any self-respecting trout's diet. They're a nice big meal, and they're available pretty much year-round. There's probably no better fly in the world for imitating a stonefly nymph than the Pat's rubber legs. In addition to imitating a stonefly nymph, it could be a hellgrammite, it could be a small crayfish. We can overthink it all we want, but at the end of the day, they just look buggy and they catch fish. This is a little twist on the Pat's rubber legs that just has a few extra steps, so for the purposes of this video, let's call it the Pat's Plus. While it's clunky to cast, I really do like using a big tungsten bead on a jig hook for this pattern, because it gets my rig down quick and deep. Because that bead is so big, we can use really slender lead-free wire just to secure the bead and make sure it doesn't slip. This is a big, ugly fly that's going to be bouncing around in the rocks, so using heavy, strong thread is usually a good idea. I'm using 210 denier thread here. Take a few wraps over the back of the wire just to secure it a little bit tighter and bring your thread all the way back to the bend. This is where I like to add just a little bit of flash. In this case, I'm using copper flash abu. Tie just one strand doubled over your tying thread onto the hook shank and trim it up. To imitate this tail of our stonefly nymph, I take the tips of 2 hackle feathers and stack them on top of each other and tie them in on top of the flash. Tie in one set of rubber legs, making sure that there's a leg on either side of that tail. Because this fly is going to be bulky, you can see the tag or loop of those rubber legs is also just getting tied in. I'm not trimming it up or anything. Take one nice long piece of chenille. Here I'm using variegated chenille in black and coffee. That's just my favorite. And tie it in at the back of the hook. Take wraps up to just behind where your lead wraps start. Tie in your chenille, fold it back, and secure it. Take a really long piece of rubber leg material, fold it into a U shape, and tie it into your hook shank. Because you're tying it almost right onto the hook shank, those legs are going to kind of spin on you. But by pulling them with your fingers and by using your chenille, you can help orient the legs exactly how you want them. I don't worry too much about making these legs pretty and symmetrical when I tie this fly. I think as long as they're hanging off the bug and fluttering in the water, they're doing their job and fish are going to eat it. But that might just be a way of me making myself feel better for tying up these flies. To imitate the spiky carapaces of a stonefly nymph's thorax, tie in one hackle feather on the underside of the fly, right up behind the bead. I'm going to take a tiny little pinch of black laser dub just to cover up these thread wraps behind the bead and give it a really nice shaggy appearance. Grab your whip finisher, finish up the fly, snip your tying thread off close. For the sake of durability and to smooth out the top of that fly, I add a pretty substantial glob of UV clear cure. Put the lamp to it. At this point, all it's left to do is trim up your rubber legs as much or as little as you want, and you're all set. And that's it. My little spin on a Pat's rubber legs. I don't think this thing works any better than the original Pat's, but it's certainly pretty fun to try to put your own twist on a classic pattern.